Some people who play Magic the Gathering hate the aspect that variance plays. After all, variance is a force that you can never entirely control. We can dive deep into the construction of our decks, try and engineer everything so that there is reliable and controllable outcomes. And yet, thanks to variance, there will still be games where you will lose, having made no mistakes. And this drives a lot of Magic players crazy. I mean, if you can play and do everything right, make no mistakes, what are you supposed to do about that one game where your deck bricked out on you and your opponent was the luckiest luck that ever lucked? This causes a lot of players to tilt out, sometimes out of the game entirely. After all, what are you supposed to do when variance, when forces that you cannot control, force you to scrub out of a GP or other major event? The last few weeks have been hard on me. I guess you can say I've been tilting out in real life. Many things going on, but not the least of which was that my basement flooded. Now, this was especially stressful to me because my basement is my office, and my office is where I both film and edit videos for this channel. During a much-needed week of rain, my state is currently in a severe drought, I had noticed the carpet of my office getting particularly wet, and I tried to laugh it off as yet another sad sack element of Tolarian Community College. You know me, I like those sort of jokes. Ha 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 ha, here at Tolarian Community College we can't afford light switch plates, and when it rains, it floods. I even joked about it while streaming, turning the camera down to show a dark, soaked spot of the carpet right below me. Ha ha ha. But the rain continued to fall, and after a few more hours of streaming Magic Online, I began to notice that my socks were soaking wet. And I was wearing a rather thick pair of sneakers at the time, and as I mentioned this, many people in the chat began mentioning that streamer who burned his house down on stream, and we all decided I should probably stop what I was doing right away before I ended up as that idiot who electrocuted himself right on stream. By the way, thanks for that little nudge, chat. And still the water continued to rise. In the end, the carpet of my basement office needed to come up. It was not a pretty process. Much of the carpet had turned into a slimy, muddy chemical brew underneath. So it wasn't just a matter of ripping up the carpet and tossing it out, but also a matter of cleaning up a very unnatural slough of grossness that was left behind. We discovered underneath the carpet was a linoleum floor. That linoleum floor now needed to come up. After all, it was soaked through as well. We were really starting to worry about mold. And underneath that linoleum floor, we found a cement basement floor that had long ago been painted red. And that paint was now peeling off in full force. And the process of disassembling my office, tearing up these many layers of floor and then trying in vain to dry everything out, bleach it out to prevent that mold, and somehow clean up afterwards simply turned into a Sisyphean effort because outside the rain continued to pour. All of this caused me to have to cancel my first video ever. I mean, I've had a few that I delayed, but I never flat out canceled. I guess 2.5 years without missing a single video in that sense is a pretty good record, but I still felt terrible about this. I tried to laugh off the situation when I guested on the Command Zone's 100th episode live stream, but I'm not gonna lie to you. This was all hitting me pretty hard. I also had to delay sending out my first batch of signed cards for patrons at Patreon, which was something I really beat myself up about internally. The special Tolarian College blue envelopes I had ordered were part of what was ruined in the flood. So more needed to be ordered, more delays were occurring, and with the need to continue to empty out, disassemble, and otherwise dry out my basement office, I wasn't able to get this sent off to my patrons as soon as I had hoped. Now, I knew none of my patrons would be angry at having to wait an extra week or so for their signed cards, which thankfully are now all in the mail, but it wasn't about them being angry at me. It was about me being angry at myself for failing to send those thank yous out on time to people who had changed and significantly improved my life when I needed it most. And as all of this was going on, I was literally taking apart all of what I had put together over the last 2.5 years. Each bookcase moved, each deck box transferred upstairs was one less piece of Tolarian Community College. After the rain had finally stopped, the office dry, I looked at what was left, and I absolutely broke down at seeing that my office was no longer an office, but just a sad, wet, paint-stained basement. The leak was part of the foundation of my house. Repair would not be easy, and it would likely be a long and costly process. Keep in mind I had nowhere else to go. My upstairs is small, incredibly small, at about 750 square feet. And with a 2-year-old up there, it's nowhere that I can set up an office with expensive video, sound, and lighting equipment. Renting an office is an incredibly costly procedure, and in so doing would remove me from my home, where my wife and son are, and it's overall not something I wanted to have to do. So yeah, I broke down. I couldn't handle any of this. I didn't know what I could do, how to fix what had broken through no real mistake of my own. It's just how things happened, but it washed me out of the game. And as I folded in on myself, I happened to look through tweets from earlier in the week and happened upon one I had previously missed, where a viewer had tweeted a question about advice for their first GP, and they had tagged both Marshall Sutcliffe of Limited Resources and myself. Now, I had missed this tweet from earlier, but Marshall hadn't, and his advice to this viewer absolutely floored me with its depth and insight, not just into the game of Magic, but also into the game of life. He told this person, make sure you come away having learned something. And as all of this was going on for me, that advice struck me like a bell, and it resonated. Your goal at a GP or other major event can't be just to win, or even to always perform well. You can't. You could conceivably make no mistakes in gameplay and still wash out, and I mean wash out entirely. And this is something that happens to even the best players of this game. But what Marshall was saying is that win or lose, the goal should be to grow, to learn, and to be better equipped the next time. By the way, if you're not already listening to Limited Resources, you should do so. It is one of the best Magic the Gathering contents out there. The disaster that had befallen my office was very much the equivalent of going to a GP or other major event and washing out, scrubbing out. How do you choose to respond to that situation? Do you tilt out, letting your anger and frustration consume you? Or do you try and learn something? But of course, learning is exactly what I should have been doing in my life as well. As I continued my office cleanup, I viewed the entire experience as something I should learn from. If this was to be my business and my life now, surely other disasters, other variants would strike. How I solved this problem was not nearly so important as what I could learn from it, so that I can handle the next, and the next even better, and meeting them with a full expectation of learning from them as well. So this was, of course, excellent advice, not just for Magic, but for our own lives as well. We apply so many great lessons to our game, but seldom see the very real and important connections to our own lives. And not only did I end up not having to cancel Tuesday's video, but as I posted that one, I realized that even though I had omitted Chromatic Lantern and Darksteel Ingot from the accelerants list, it was a video I was damn proud of. And those errors in the video, well, I learned from them as well. And since the original tweet was from earlier in the week, the viewer had already replied saying, well, I went 1 and 3, but came away with a much better understanding on how to build a sealed deck. Damn, that's awesome. That is exactly what you want to do in both Magic and in life. How was my last few weeks, you ask? Well, my office got hit pretty bad in a flood, but I came away from it all with a much better understanding of how to handle crises such as this, and how to continue to build and to grow Tolarian Community College.